the science.
Suffice it that the blood of 1,000 men and women was spilled in these walls. Limbs twisted and broken, eyes gouts from bloody sockets, flesh burned black.
Please. No way to death. In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes. But you have to realize that we're all just a mouse that a cat has by the tail.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
Warning, the following show contains conservative posturing, radical Christian ideas, and may offend pagans, Wiccans, Islamic fundamentalists, and other unenlightened individuals. Callers and guests may be subjected to brash and offensive comments by the hosts and any other type of bullying tactics available. But that's okay. We know why you're here.
This concludes this test of the emergency broadcast system.
Tonight is Monday, February 5th, 2007.
Okay, wow. Hey, guys. You're listening to World of the Unexplained, and I was taken completely off of my normal track. Tonight,
My stars. It's the cold weather, man. It's messing with our heads.
It is the cold weather. Tonight we have Dennis Spalding. He's written a book called My Search for the Afterlife, and he's going to tell us a story about his communication with his child, Sean, after Sean's death. And we're going to talk about that, and then later we're going to have Natalie on, who is a psychic, or medium, I don't know which he prefers. We'll ask him in a second. But she's going to be on, and then we're going to bring them both back in at the end. So you guys, if you want to call and speak with Dennis or with Natalie, do it while they're on by themselves. The number here is 877-722-7382, or locally 336-996-1596. Once again, that's 877-SCARE-U2. This is Jay Scott. And let's go ahead and welcome on Mr. Dennis Spalding. Dennis, how are you doing?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you two doing tonight?
Excellent, excellent.
We're doing great. So,
sounds good.
Tell us about your book, My Search for the Afterlife. How did this all begin with you?
Well, basically, I lost my son, Sean, in a single-car auto accident, March 14th, 1993. And if you've never lost a child or a close loved one, you don't know the feeling that one goes through. It basically shut me down for 4 years. I didn't want to talk about it. Even my own daughter, his sister, wanted to find out. It was a single car accident that took place down in Miami, Florida. Careened off the freeway at a high speed into the concrete pillar of an overpass bridge, killed him instantly.
How old was Sean when he passed away?
He was 24. He was in his 25th year, but he was only 24 at the time. And like I said, it just, unless you know the feeling of losing a child, you just can't put yourself in that position. And his mother at the time, I was divorced. I'm married to my third wife now, Wanda, of 29 years. But I was sitting in the living room. It was a Monday morning. My mom was with me, and my wife, Wanda, was in the back bedroom cleaning. And I had just talked with Sean the previous Friday. He had just gone through a hurricane down in Florida, and then they were supposed to have a kind of a violent windstorm this weekend that had happened. And my wife, Wanda, was concerned and wanted me to call Sean over the weekend, see if he was okay. And I kept saying, hey, he made it through the hurricane all right, no problem. I just talked with him. He was fine. So I never did. Well, his mother is from the island of Trinidad, the Caribbean, so she's got a distinct accent. And when the phone rang, I recognized the voice right away. He hadn't talked with her in many, many, many years. So it surprised me. And I just kind of go, hi, Pat, what's going on? And she goes in her accent, well, I just called to tell you Sean's dead. No warning. And it's like a bolt of lightning comes out and hits you in the heart, and it's just the world opens up and swallows you. And I lost it.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
The phone got thrown, screaming, you name it. The wife comes running out, looks at my mother, who's devastated, and tears in her eyes because here's her son now crying and yelling out stuff, and she just says, I think something's happened to Sean or something. So, my wife picked up, got all the information. But like I said, I kind of shut down. I don't want to talk about it anymore. My daughter would bring it up. I say, hey, your brother's gone. He's dead. He's gone. Can't do anything. Forget it. And it wasn't until, probably about 4 years later, I decided I wanted to face the ghost of the past and try to find my son. And I started going to the spiritual section of the bookstores and the library, reading everything I can on spirituality, because I had been through many religions in my life. In my life. I know you guys are a Christian broadcast type thing you had mentioned, which is fine. I started out in a Methodist church as a young kid. That's what my parents put me through. And then going through school, some of my friends were under the Baptist type thing, went through the Baptist church for a while. I was a counselor at a couple of the summer camps. Second marriage, I was in the Lutheran church. By the time I married Sean's mom, or actually my first marriage with her, I had converted to the Catholic faith. Okay. And I was actually in the Catholic faith when he died, but I had also been going to a couple of non-denominational churches with friends that I worked with at work and stuff like that. So I kind of been through the gamut, and I wasn't getting my answers from there. And so when I decided it was time to face the ghost to see about my son, that's why I turned to the spirituality. All through my life, even though I was in all these various religions, I always felt there was another world that existed next to us. Yeah. Either it was moving too fast, moving too slow in time. I couldn't see it, but that was always in the back of my mind. I had always felt that. And so without realizing it, all the books I was reading, I was starting to build my own psychic and spiritual awareness on the inside without realizing it at the time. Now, I'm not a psychic and I'm not a medium. I'm just a bereaved father that was in search for his lost son. Yes. And so this started out as basically a log I was keeping, different things I was doing, to find my son. And the log basically then turned into kind of a short story. And at one point in time, as I was doing it, the actual name of the book is My Search for the Afterlife, A Trail of Clues. Yes. And the Trail of Clues refers to a number theory that I put together. And the number theory, the best way to explain it, it revolves around when my son was born, 9/24/68, and when he died, 3/14/93, and a couple special numbers. Now, the biggest numbers that are relevant to the story, and even ongoing now, is 14. That's the biggest number, which is the day he died.
I know 29 was also mentioned.
Yeah, 29 was a special number. Him and I played roulette at his sister's 21st birthday party in Reno. That's the last time I saw him alive, and him and I played roulette for the whole time down there. We played it together, number 29. But just to show you how prevalent the 14 is, like you told me today, which I was aware of, today's date is 2507. And if the people listening audience want to add that together, that's a 14 right there.
2 plus 5 plus 7.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I was just spelling that out. 2
plus 5 plus 7, total 14. So this interview was meant to happen on this day. That's subconsciously, I believe that's why you set it up for this day with a little help from the other side. But getting back to the story, what I decided that I wanted to do when the book came out, at first it started out as a short story, and let me go backwards just a little bit. During my reading, I started watching television, and the first psychic medium that I saw on television, her name was Sylvia Brown. I don't know if people are familiar with her. She had a little publicity here a while back in reference to the 2 boys that were kidnapped in Missouri. Okay. And they showed her in a negative way giving bad information on the Montel Williams show.
Okay, yeah, my producer's shaking his head. Yes, he's familiar with this.
Right. They gave her a lot of bad publicity because of what she was telling the people. The description of the killers, that the boy was dead, you name it. And when, like Fox News challenged this, you would get no response from her or Montel Williams. Well, when I saw her on Montel Williams, I had seen her before, and I started following her stuff on what she had to say. I started reading all of her books, and I really took a big interest in it. And I started practicing a lot of her technique for the meditation, stuff like that, of just trying to develop my own psychic and spiritual awareness according to the books. And it was really helping. And after about 4 or 5 years of this, one of my work associates, I was managing the control tower at Renton Airport, mentioned a up-and-coming medium coming on television. His name was John Edward out of New York.
Oh, yeah. We're familiar with Mr. Edward.
Oh, yeah. And in Chapter 3, I think it is in the book, I'm not sure, 3 or 4, I don't have the book in front of me, that was a crossroad put before me by the spiritual world. I was channel surfing one night after being made aware of this gentleman, and I was amazed at what he could do. And the chapter in my book says something like, hello, John, goodbye, Sylvia. Now, the difference between the two, Sylvia is basically a psychic medium. A psychic medium is one that can kind of predict the future, tell you about your past, so on and so forth. They have an insight on a lot of things.
Okay.
Plus, they got the mediumship abilities also. Whereas a medium, they're just a go-between between the spirit world and this world. They pass messages. Most of the messages I receive from my son, family, and friends are basically, hi, how you doing? I see what's going on. Things like that. If I want a more direct type of a message or something like that, I've used mediums where I've had readings, where I've gone to their seminars and things that they've said, connected with me where I've raised my hand. I have had phone readings, where they connect with your loved ones, which is how the number theory basically started. One of the mediums that I met through John Edward after reading his books was a medium lady. Her name was Suzanne Northrup.
Yeah, you mentioned her in your book.
Right. She was coming to town to Seattle probably about 6 months after I got tuned into John Edward, reading a lot of his stuff. I read a book called The Afterlife Experiments by a couple of professors out of Arizona, Gary Schwartz. And they were trying to put together a book that said the afterlife truly existed. And to prove this theory of theirs, they hired the best mediums they could at the time to prove this. It was John Edward, Suzanne Northrup, Laurie Campbell, and George Anderson. And everybody was putting their own career on the line for this book. Not only the professors were putting their career on the line in a topic like this in this day and age, but also the mediums involved are going to put their careers on the line also by volunteering for this. Well, it's a very interesting book. If people want to read it, go to the library. I'm sure they have it there at the bookstores. It's a very interesting book. But anyhow, at the back of the book, one time I got an intuitive thought to open up the back of the book several weeks after I had read it and put it down, and I noticed the website for Suzanne Northrup. And I just felt compelled to pull up that website. That's the first time I ever did it. I looked at it. Well, I saw she was coming to Seattle a few months later to do a seminar. Now, we had never been to a seminar before, my wife and I. All we had saw was on TV, John Edward, his Crossing Over program coming out of the New York studios. So naturally, I was excited. Well, she was coming to town in June, I think it was 2002. And once again, the seminar was going to be on a Monday. And the week prior to that, I was drawn to her website again. I just got this feeling, like I get with my son or family and friends when I'm supposed to do something. Pulled up the site, and I saw she was coming to Seattle a week early. She was going to do a TV show and a couple of radio stations. So my intent at the time was, since my wife works during this time, I was going to tape the radio interview and I was going to tape the television program. So both her and I would have an idea how Suzanne Northrup works, what her voice sounds like, what her inflections are like, how she conducts the audience, something that we could prepare for the seminar when we were there with hopes that she'll come to us or we'll hear from my son I mean, I was greedy. You know, I wanted to do anything I could to get a message from my son at the time. And so I was hoping this would do the trick. Well, I was sitting there when the radio disc jockey came on, and I had the tape ready to go. And he says, well, Suzanne Northup's going to be on in a few minutes. If anyone out there has lost a loved one, now's the time to call this number and possibly talk with Suzanne. Well, before my brain knew what my fingers were doing, I'd already dialed the number, and it was like I was meant to get through. Guy answers the phone. He says, you've lost a loved one? I said, yeah. You want to know his name? He said, no. Just wait till Suzanne comes on and talk with her. I said, okay. So I was on hold for about 25 minutes. And then finally I hear the disc jockey go, and now we have Dennis on the line. And Suzanne goes, hi, Dennis, who do you want to talk to? And I said, my son, Sean. And I wrote down the time. I'm an air traffic controller, so technically I'm supposed to do 2 or 3 things at one time, and no problem.
Oh, yeah.
So I wrote down the time when she said that. And
let me ask you an off-topic question, just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
As an air traffic controller, I don't know if you've seen the movie Pushing 10.
Oh, yeah.
Is that? I know this is totally off topic, but I just want to know: is that somewhat accurate portrayal of what you guys do, as far as the stress of the job?
Well, what they were showing, these guys are basically, they were portrayed. The building that they came out of was the center controllers, the radar controllers that work at a center. There's about 25 or 26 centers all across the country that connect with each other.
Okay.
And as the planes go across country from east to west, when they go through these centers, they're handed off from one radar scope controller to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, depending on the area. But what they were portrayed as were TRACON controllers, which basically work at the busy airports across the country. And a TRACON radar controller covers, let's just say, a 50-mile radius of the major airport they're by. Uh-huh. They take a handoff from the center controllers and then start working the airplane landing or taking off, whichever way the plane's doing, and work it into their airspace till they're lined up with the control tower for the airport they're going to be landing at. Then they turn them over to the controller in the tower, who gives them the clearance to land on the runway, who then clears them off the runway and talks with the ground controller. Now, I worked at a control tower where I was one of these tower guys up in, the controller up in the tower.
Okay.
Okay, we did have radar scopes up there, stuff like that, but I was not per se a radar controller.
Okay.
What you saw in that movie were basically radar controller techniques and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. All right. That sounds like a tough job, though. Definitely, to have to do all those things at one time.
I think that's. I had mentioned this to you in an email. That's what caused my problems December of last year, 2006, just about a month and a half ago, where I had twice I almost died.
Yeah.
From the heart attack, and there's even a story with this about the spiritual world that we'll tell a little bit later. But I think a lot of the stress from the job, plus my diabetes and some other stuff, caused that. Anyhow, getting back to the quick story, so you know how this number theory works. I wrote the times down when she said this, and it was 8:36 in the morning, so I wrote 8:36. Then I put a forward slash, and I wrote 24-9, which is another way of saying that, 24 minutes to 9. Okay, I wrote that down, went about it, had about a 5-minute reading on the phone. It was phenomenal. I mean, she touched on a lot of things, and I go, wow, that is my son. I mean, I couldn't wait to have my wife and my daughter hear it. There were a couple misses, that she had said. She said, well, he's showing me a fishing pole, so it must show you guys did a lot of fishing together and yada, yada, yada. And I'm sitting there thinking, God, I hate fishing. I get seasick and all that stuff. No way.
Well, I know you connect that later with his stepfather.
Right. That was connected later with the stepfather on the other, that was married to his mom, where they did a lot of fishing. And that opened the door for me to realize when an energy comes through, the medium doesn't know the background of who he's trying to connect with. She knew he's trying to connect with the father and giving a message. I found out that there's messages that come through that I can pass on to help other people out. That was an awareness to me that I found out at that time.
Does his mother...
So anyhow, the reading went on. It was over with. A lot more stuff happening the 4 days later until the actual seminar that we went to. Nothing happened at the seminar except that was my first one, and I was able to see what a medium can do with people, with the messages. It just really opened my eyes to the ability of these people on doing this. And it wasn't until the next day when I was, my wife was a little upset because nothing happened at the seminar, but I told her, hey, we got the radio reading. Let's be happy with that. A lot of people don't have anything. I was sitting there playing the radio reading the next day, and I started looking at it. And my eyes glanced down at my notes that I wrote down for the Times. And I looked at it, and I read it right to left. And I looked at the 9/24/68, and I said, oh, that's when he was born. Then I looked at the 3 and the 9 in there. I said, well, 3, that represents March. 93, that represents the year he died. And the 3-9 together is his name in the alphabet, S-E-A-N, the 26-letter alphabet. The only thing I was missing was 14, the biggest number the day he died. And that came about a month later when my brother came to visit. There was a little formula he created out of this, and he found my missing 14. And that's talked about in the book. But that's how the number theory first developed. And then it started getting bigger and bigger, and, you know, where we're at today with it, plus other things, not only just communication through numbers, but, you know, there's a butterfly story, clocks, license plates, you name it. Once you're in tune and you're aware of how your loved ones are trying to communicate with you, you can have a really good relationship. I mean, I would love to have his physical presence here, but if that's impossible, then having a relationship like this is really awesome also.
Now, does his mother still talk to you, or does she totally dismiss this claim that you're making, that you're speaking with him?
The very first time I talked with his mother, because there was a point in time, I think I talk about this in the book.
You do.
Yeah, when I first talked with her, she was very open to this. And I sent her tapes of everything like that, and she says, oh, yeah, she knows who Suzanne Northrop is. And she's from the island of Trinidad, where you got the voodoo and the black magic and all that stuff. So, yes, she was very open. But I think when I called her husband after one of the seminars 3 days later, I think it was something I said about talking with his wife 3 days earlier that created something in that family back in Alabama. I live in Seattle, and my son's buried in Warrior, Alabama, where his mom lives. Well, I think I said something during that conversation, because 3 days later she was not as open. She was not as friendly. It was like the opposite end of the spectrum. And I just got a very weird feeling. My wife now, Wanda, you know, scolded me for saying, well, you shouldn't have said that to her husband. That's none of his business. You should have asked for Pat and given the message to Pat and yada, yada, yada. So I got kind of scolded on both ends. Well, the next time I tried to contact her about some information, I think it was like 8 or 9 months later, she basically just said, I don't want to hear any more about this subject. Please don't ever call me again on this, and hung the phone up on me.
No, is she still that way now?
That's the last. So okay. I've talked with people about that. I've talked with doctors about that. I've talked with a lot of people, and they said, well, you probably did say something wrong that caused a problem with her and her husband. And so she closed up her mind. She closed up herself to say, I will deal with this myself. So it's not going to involve me. It's not going to involve her husband or anything. She will just deal with the situation in her own mind. And unfortunately, she's losing out on a lot of messages that I've gotten from Sean that I could pass on to her, that he has mentioned to say this, you know, to the mother and so on and so forth. But I do keep records of this, especially when I have readings over the telephone with a medium, and a message for his mother comes through. I have these documented, so if she ever does open up and wants to hear more about this story, you know, her and I can talk again.
Okay,
fair enough.
Now, tell us about your near-death experience.
Well, it wasn't really a near. Well, it wasn't the near-death like you're getting at in that type of a sense that happened. But it does tie my whole story together of what's happening in my life. It was November 30th. It was on a Monday. We had a real bad snowstorm out here in Seattle. And I was working at the tower. I was supposed to get off at 8 o'clock. It's a 15-minute drive home. It took me over 4.5 hours to get home. Okay. I didn't get home till well after midnight, 12:30. I had a colonoscopy scheduled for the next day at 12:30. And I was on this liquid diet all day, dying of hunger. I'm a diabetic, and you've got to eat all the time. But having this test coming up, I couldn't. So there's stress level there from that. There's stress level from my job. And being in a little small cramped car at the time, I started to experience chest pain, just a moderate ache, which I thought was the acid reflux.
Yeah.
I've got a hiatal hernia, and years ago when I worked for the FAA, I thought I was having a heart attack and found out, no, it was just the acid reflux, and they found that hiatal hernia. So many years now, every time I get an ache there, I think, okay, it's only the acid reflux. So I thought that was it in the car, because it was strong, but it wasn't like the elephant sitting on you. And I had the cramping in all across my chest in the muscular skeleton area, front and back. Well, by the time I got home, it was still unbelievable. I was just, oh man, couldn't get comfortable, anything. But I took the medicine for 5 hours like I was supposed to for the test coming up, because I was worried about having cancer. I had this problem for about 3 months. Well, right before going to the doctor for the test, I called the group health nurse, and I explained what my symptoms were. Now it was only on the left-hand side, which concerned me. It wasn't on the right anymore, just on the left. And she said, cancel your appointment, go to the emergency room, call an ambulance, and yada, yada, yada. But like the true male I am, I made my own decision, said, well, I'm more concerned about my cancer right now, and that's probably just that acid reflux acting up. So I went ahead with a colonoscopy. I told the doctor all about what had happened. He took notes. When I woke up from the drugs from the colonoscopy, I was right next to the emergency room. The hospital is right behind this building. I said, should I go check in to the emergency room and check this out? Like the lady said, he said, well, no, just go call your doctor tomorrow and tell him what happened.
Dennis, I hate to interrupt you, but we're going to have to take a short break. And so keep that story on hold for us. We're going to be back with Dennis Spalding. You guys can call in now if you want, 877-SCARE-YOU2.
And we're back. World of the Unexplained, talking to Dennis Spalding right now. If you guys want to call, talk to us. The number is 1-877-722-7382. That number is also known as 1-877-SCARE-YOU2. Our local number here is 336-996-1596. And don't forget to hop into the chat room if you're phone shy, but we'd like to get a call. Anyway, Dennis was talking about his near-death experience. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, well, I finished up last time. The doctor, after my little colonoscopy thing, said, no, just call your regular doctor the next morning and make an appointment, and you can talk about your heart problems there with him. So, okay, so the next day, Wednesday. Now, you have to remember, I'm a air traffic controller, and I'm still controlling airplanes at this time. I go to work the next day. I make my appointment for the following day, another day, on Thursday afternoon. So Thursday comes. I'm working airplanes in the morning. I go to my doctor's appointment. They do an EKG, and they do blood work. And doctor comes back and says, well, you had a heart attack on Monday. Why you didn't die, we don't know. I said, oh, really? And, well, in my own head, I had other things going on in my life. That wasn't really registering. I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, well, we're going to admit you to, we're going to send you to the emergency room, for further checks. I said, okay, I got an interview here, and I was given my list of things that I had to do. I said, what time do you want my wife to drop me off at the emergency room, or which hospital? He's looking at me like I'm kind of nuts at this time. He said, you ain't going anywhere except on a stretcher out of this room. That's how serious it was. So they sent me to this hospital right next door, and I was there for about 2.5 hours, and they realized any test that they have to run on me, which they were thinking about, if they had to do something beyond that, they weren't capable of doing it at that hospital. So they transferred me to another hospital about 30 minutes away. Well, I told my wife the weather was bad. It's a hospital we've never been to. For her to just go home, come to the hospital the next morning to see me, because all they're going to do is put me into my room and put me to bed for the night, which they did. I got there. I called my wife, tell her I'm fine, I'm in bed, and they're not going to do anything till the next day on Friday. And after hanging up, I started talking with my son and my parents, all those, in the afterlife. I said, hey, I haven't gotten any signs here lately, and a lot of stuff has been going on this week. Be nice to kind of get a sign or to know you guys are with me. My normal stuff is intuitive. It's just I get the feeling I know they're around, the goosebump, the chills, or if it's keyed off by maybe something that has happened, like in the butterfly story or the numbers on TV, anything like that might kick it off. Well, nothing had happened during that week, so I was just kind of talking to myself about this. Well, the very next morning, my wife drives up, and since it's a strange hospital, she parks in the valet parking. And previously that summer, I had special license plate brackets made, holders for my license plate, and it says, My Search for the Afterlife, advertising my book and the website on top. Okay. Well, this young girl comes walking out to park my wife's car. She goes to the front of the car first, My wife sees her standing there looking. She bends down for a few seconds, and then she walks back and opens the door for my wife, and my wife's trying to figure out what's going on. And she says, "Are you related to the author of that book?" And my wife just looks at her. She goes, "Well, yes, I'm his wife. That's my husband. He's in the hospital here. He just had a heart attack, and he's here to get checked up." And she says, "Well, my mother just gave me a copy of his book, and I'm almost done reading it, and it has really helped me move on with the loss of my friend recently. Give your husband my blessings, and I hope he does, that he's doing well." Well, when my wife came up to the room, I greeted her, and she said, "You're not going to believe what happened." And I said, "What?" And she said, "What had happened?" And I get a big smile on my face, and I just, in my mind, thank you guys. And I knew on that day that whatever took place, I was going to be fine. And what had happened, they did an ultrasound. From the ultrasound, they decided to run the dye test up to check, the valves and everything in my heart. What the doctor that was going to do that test, what his normal procedure was, had I not had a few pains during the night, I had these little light, moderate pains during the night that I reported like I was told to, they were going to send me home and have me come back in a week's time to do stress tests and things like that to see what caused my heart attack. Well, because I had those pains during the night, this doctor decided to do the dye test. Well, I'm on the table, and I wake up from the anesthesia from that, and he's standing there. He says, "Are you awake?" I said, "Yeah." And I just come out of the surgery for the dye test. And he says, "Mr. Spalding, if I would have sent you home like I wanted to, you'd be dead right now." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Can you see this monitor?" I go, "Yeah." He said, "That's your heart." He says, "Why you didn't die Monday, I don't know." He says, "You've got a time bomb ready to explode. We're going to put you back in emergency surgery. We got the best heart doctor here. You're going back under in 1 hour's time to save your life." And they did a quadruple bypass on me. But because of what I heard that morning, I knew no matter what was going to take place, I was going to be fine. But the message that I got out of this from my sons and family was, I need to take care of my own life first before I can even start on helping other people take care of their life, which is helping them in their belief and stuff like that, of knowing, that their loved ones are around them on a daily basis and stuff like that, to help them with their grief and things like that. But I also learned a lesson on heart disease and diabetes. The doctors told me that as a diabetic, you will not feel the elephant sitting on your chest. You may not even feel your arm going numb. Things I didn't know, where I was sitting in that car for 4.5 hours waiting for that elephant, my arm to go numb. That's why I never thought it was a heart attack. He said, "No, as a diabetic, you may not feel any symptoms at all and still have a heart attack." And I said, "Then why are you guys not educating the public?" And they go, "Well, we've got to do a better job, I guess." I said, yeah. I said, "You guys are yelling at me because I didn't report it, or I didn't call 911 because I'm waiting for other symptoms you advertise on television that we should be, aware of." So it was kind of a twofold message, their end and my end.
All right, Dennis.
Certainly.
I've got just some questions for you. First of all, let's talk about these communications. What do you say to people that may say, "Well, look, this is just a common mathematical frequency. This guy is going out there, he's seeing things in everything, and he's just adding all these numbers up, and he's making them fit to come out to be 14 or 29 or whatever he wants to see fit."
What I tell people is, at the beginning of the book, and even when I talk, I said, I let you know that this is the form of communication that my son communicates with me. It's for my own benefit, and I'm only sharing. Yes, I realize what you're saying. A lot of people have said that. Yes, you can make a lot of things out of numbers to fit. And I said, even though it's for myself, I'm only sharing because numbers is only one form of communication the spirit world can use. There's many forms of communication that they can use to communicate with you. Mine just happens to be numbers. I don't know. Maybe I was good in numbers in school, which I don't think I was.
I know I wasn't.
Yeah, but if you go through the book And I'm already in book number 2. It's almost completed. Messages from the Next World, his signature. And his signature is basically the numbers, or 39 or the 14 or whatever. There are so many of them. Even my son-in-law was very critical during the writing of the book. He goes, no, same thing you're saying. Well, you can do this to that. But then as time went on, and I started showing more and more and more, he started saying to me, listen, I don't totally believe this, but you have so much stuff that's going on in your life that I know there's something taking place that I can't explain.
What do you say to people that says that this is just a bereaved father that can't let go? And that your mind is looking and searching for anything that's going to connect you or to keep you connected with that memory of your son.
Okay, what I would do, I'd say, yeah, in a way that is true, and then in another way, it isn't. I can refer you to the butterfly story that's in the book.
Yeah, the blue butterfly.
You said you've read it. That is what happens in that one takes place basically 13 months later. 14 months later, something that I wasn't looking for. And for the people to understand this, the last time that I talked with my wife, or the very first ex-wife, the very first time I talked with her, at the end of our conversation, she said every time that she goes to my son's gravesite in Warrior, Alabama, there's always this blue butterfly that flies around the gravesite. Yes. And I just had this validated again for me by the lady that delivers my flowers for me. She's a florist that I met when I went back for his funeral, and she's been taking flowers to his gravesite twice a year for me. March for the anniversary when he died, and in September for the anniversary of his birthday. And she just wrote me a note in the last one for September and says, you know, Dennis, she says, I still see the blue butterflies around his grave every time I take flowers there. So what I wrote in the book, when my ex-wife told me that, I said, as an afterthought, I wrote in the book that, well, when I see the blue butterfly in the Pacific Northwest, then I'm going to know my son's out here. And what happened about 13 months later, the following year in March.
The tattoo. Is this the tattoo story?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
This is the tattoo story. I was on my way home, and I stopped at a Starbucks, and there's these 2 college co-eds sitting outside, and one of them had her backside bared. As I come walking up to the store, and yes, I was looking now at that time, but there was a tattoo.
The tramp stamp. Anyway,
of a giant.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, some people say, you're looking. Well, yeah, I was.
Of course, you're a man. It's okay. We would be looking too.
So there's a giant blue tattoo butterfly there on her backside, and my first thing is, hey, how's it going, Sean? I took that as a sign. I go in, get my little latte and all that good stuff, and walking back out, boom, the girls are gone. I go, okay. Well, like anything during that time, I document.
Yes.
I document the time and everything and all that stuff. That's why I'm able to have made the book, because of my documentation is so well and stuff like that. Well, I go home and I go, when was the last time I talked with Pat? And I heard about that. So I go through my notes and I find out it was a previous year during February, and it happened on the 26th of February, the year before. And I looked at today's date, or that day, and that was March 26th. That was 13 months later. And I'm going, okay, there's something going on here. Now, the very next month in April, I come walking into the tower at work, and there's one of these lawn ornament giant blue butterflies sitting on my desk.
And that was given to you by your coworker, Marilyn, correct?
Right. That was given to me by her, and she had heard my story and all this other stuff. She had not heard the numbers yet or anything like that. She had just kind of heard, the butterfly story about Pat and the gravesite and stuff like that, and I kind of quizzed her. And what happened on that was I looked at the date, and what she did, she was out that weekend shopping, and she saw the blue butterfly and thought about it, but just passed it up. A day or so later, she found herself in the same store, and she felt compelled to buy this butterfly on that day for me. And that day turned out to be April 26th. So I'm sitting there going, after she left, I says, okay. Then I started doing the little mathematics that take place in my mind automatically now. I said, well, 26. If you add the 2 and the 6 together on the day 26, that's an 8. And if I have 3 events, which is the cemetery where my ex-wife saw the butterfly, Starbucks, and the ornament at work, 8 times 3 is 24. That's when my son was born. He was born on the 24th. And if I add the month of February, the 2, the month of March, the 3, and the month of April, the 4, that's a 9. That's 9/24, which represents September 24th when he was born. To me, that was a butterfly message, hello, for my son.
See,
and it goes on farther than that. There's more butterfly little things that are added to that, and there's more butterfly stories in book number 2.
Okay, well,
that's just another form of communication now they're using. He's using.
Let's just assume for sake of argument that these numbers, these things are happening, and you are communicating. Let's just assume for sake of argument we're just gonna go from there. How do you know that what you're communicating with is actually your son and not some kind of demonic force?
I knew it.
My belief.
Yes.
That's all I can say, my belief.
Okay, your belief.
Everyone has their belief. Like I know where you're coming from, having had a few phone conversations with you and stories in your belief system and so forth. I can only say this is my belief system. I've incorporated everything I've learned through life through the various religions I've been through. I can be challenged by the born-again Christian, but wait a second. If you're a Christian, then you should believe, that, like you would say, the way to heaven is through Jesus Christ. He is the light, so on and so forth.
That's correct.
And yes, I basically believe that. But I believe in the good and the bad in other religions. I like maybe something out of this religion that works and something out of here. And this is what makes my faith my belief. Is it right? Is it wrong? Well, it depends on who you talk to. If I talk to somebody that strictly born-again Christian lives by those rules, those doctrines, hey, I'm completely wrong. That can't work. But that is only in your belief system.
Well, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it isn't real, Dennis. But let's not go there right now. Here's the other thing I had to ask you about is, I see these mediums all the time, these psychics, John Edward, people like this, and I really feel that they take advantage of people's people's hurt, their pain. I really do. I really believe that. And I think that there's either two ways that this is done. Either it's done unintentionally by the medium who is operating through who has good intentions, but it doesn't know that they're communicating with evil. Or number 2, it's taken by charlatans and people that just want to steal your money. Let me ask you a question. I know you went to tons and tons of these seminars, and I know one of them was $75 for a ticket. The other one I think you paid a lot more than that. How much money have you spent over the course of this time trying to connect to your son through these mediums? How much money have you spent on these books, these seminars, these meetings, all these things that are attached to these mediums?
On the amount of money for mediums that I've spent on some readings, I'd say over the years now we're probably talking from, let's say 2002 till now, 5 years. If I was to add it up, probably between $900 and $1,000. If you want to add up to see some of these top named mediums,
yes,
when they come to town. Whereas some phone readings I've had have been given to me free. Things like that, because I volunteered to be on radio programs. And some of these radio programs, they are gifted mediums in their own right. These are people that I've put together that we're going to talk about in a while, the North American Tour 2007, to help people move forward in their grief.
Uh-huh.
It's called Can Heaven Talk and Moving Beyond Grief, and it's designed for a one-day program from 9 to 6 o'clock at night in cities across the United States once a month as a grief healing seminar to help people, give them ideas and ways that they can move forward in their own grief process.
What I'm saying, do you think it's possible that some of these mediums could have taken advantage of your grief and used
there are charlatans, like you said, and stuff like that. I do my research. I've only had readings from what I feel are gifted mediums where I've done research. I've been on their programs. Not necessarily they all have radio programs that I've had reading. I've been at seminars where the readings come to me. I haven't instigated anything. The only thing I did was bought a ticket and I'm there. And I wind up they're coming to me out of an audience of 500, 1,000.
Yeah, but don't you think these things are way too generalized? A cold read, perhaps. I mean, it's something as simple as I could sit in the room and be like, okay, I'm getting a message from a strong male presence. You know, I mean, I'm getting things like that people just pick up on that can go in any direction. That you know, it's like a tarot read,
and they can be interpreted
in so many ways. And I just think, well, like for example, this I don't know how to pronounce her name, Suzanne, the first lady you mentioned.
Suzanne Northrop. Yeah.
Suzanne Northrop. You know, there's many occasions where you had spoken with this woman directly, that she had given you more than one reading. So obviously, especially with the email that you had sent back and forth to her assistants, they're going to know who you are. If this lady really wanted to play it up, she can be like, oh, yeah, well, you know, I'm in this trance when I'm doing this. I really don't remember you from you know, Adam, but you know, all this stuff together is going to make a great show for her when she goes out there and say, you know, I'm feeling a strong male presence over here. I feel that the sun's. I mean, it's stuff like that, and I think it's just taking advantage of people's, you know, of their emotions and using them in an evil way.
Okay, but what you have to remember, like, that goes through my mind also. I mean, I've been through this, and I understand that, and that's the same thing. That's gone through my mind many a times. And it went through my son-in-law also, and we talked about that. I says, the one thing that keeps me then level-headed about it, I say, that lady's been doing that type of stuff, like John Edwards also, and some other gifted ones, for over 20 years, 25 years, some 30 years. Now, my defense is, why would they take a chance of their career being put on the line or challenged to do something like that, to give something like that to me, somebody they don't know?
They're not taking any
I'm not doing nothing for them. Why would they risk that they would be considered a fake by somebody if they found out that's exactly what they were doing?
They would already be considered a fake.
Their whole career would be down the gutter.
Well, they speak in what my argument is. They speak in such generalities that anyone can pick stuff from it that's gonna.
Oh, yeah, that applies to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's me.
Well,
they're talking about my grandmother. They're talking about my brother. You know, I mean, anything.
Okay, I don't know if you got into Chapter 11 yet. That's the Northwest Afternoon television show that she was on. This was about a year after we had seen her, something like that. My wife and I got.
Yeah, I've read that section.
Yeah, my wife and I got tickets at the last moment.
Yes.
The reading was over. I mean, her time, the taping was over at the time. This was a 2-program day there. We were doing a taping one, not the live one.
That's right, the taping and then the live one after.
At the last minute. Yeah, we started to stand up at the end. Then all of a sudden the producer calls down and says, I want 6 more minutes of stuff in the can. He didn't like one of the 6-minute segments. Well, the co-host in that asked her, do you have any more energy's coming through? And she says, yeah, 2 more. She goes with one, a lady down in front of me. Then all of a sudden she says, Sean, real loud. She didn't know I'm in the audience. And a lady in front of me goes, my name's Shauna. She goes, no. She says, this is a very strong male energy. And I raised my hand. And the co-host comes over and stands up. I says, I have a son named Sean. And then she goes, well, why would he be showing me airplanes? Oh, I'm an air traffic controller. Boom, and it started with that. There's a lot of things right there that no, she wouldn't have known. And there's no way she is going to remember my face through all the thousands of places she has been and people she has read, and not knowing I'm even there.
Well, you did go and see her in almost every event, or I believe every event in your area at the time that she was there, didn't you?
Yeah, but that was only the 3rd one, I think, or something like that. I got to remember. I don't have these written down in order. That was probably maybe the 3rd one. The first one, so, yeah, but that doesn't mean she's going to keep a history and everything about my life and stuff like that. It all falls back on your belief. You have to believe that this person is genuine, that this person is not going to wreck their reputation. Yes, there are charlatans, like you talked about, that want that buck, they want that money, but this is her livelihood.
Now,
if she's...
Did you, you originally you said that you wanted to write a book with her, and then you decided later that it was better to tell the whole story yourself. Do you still keep in contact with her?
No.
Okay.
No. Her and I kind of had an outing. I never talked with her personally.
Okay.
It was her secretary at the time, her assistant. That's who I was in communication with. I never spoke with Suzanne except when I went up for a book signing.
Now, I mean, you had mentioned earlier in your book, though, about the triangle, the triangle between her and yourself and Sean, and that's why I'm asking, because at the time, I know at the time that you wrote that, I'm sure you were saying basically she is she's the way to him. Right,
which she was. It was because of her and the number theory when it started out on that radio program that, I really believe that there was a very, very strong connection. And that's why you probably have about three or four of Suzanne in there. But just to show you to change it, but keeping along the same topic that you're asking about, but changing mediums, this is not talked about in Book 1. It will be talked about in the first chapter of Book 2. I advertise my book that it's authored from Beyond the Grave by my son and co-authored in this world by myself. Now, why do I say that? Well, I found this other medium. His name is Glenn Klostner out of Florida. I found him through this spiritual magazine. It's ofspirit.com. My book is on this website, griefandbelief.com. This gentleman's name is Bob Olson. He's done a whole lot of research on mediums, the spiritual world, and everything, and he put my book on his recommended reading list with some of these top names with books around it. I'm very proud of that. Anyhow, I found this medium. I went to him. He lives in Florida. I live in Seattle. And I wanted a phone reading. And this is that I paid for. Now, we scheduled that for a couple months down the line. He knew nothing about me. Now, 4 days before that reading, I'm in my bathroom looking at a tube of Crest toothpaste depleted and 2 vials of Colgate upside down. My thought at the time was, I hope my wife Wanda has toothpaste in her bathroom, or I'm going to have to go to the store and buy some.
Yeah.
The day before, I'm at Albertsons. I see a big, long line at the meat counter. I go back and look. Well, everything's half price. So I go, oh, wow, fill my card up that I hadn't done in years. Well, the reading takes place, and it's my son coming through just by what he said, and my mother, and some other stuff.
Dennis, I'm gonna have to give you the 1 minute warning. We got 1 minute before our break, and then we're gonna break to
very first thing he calls
Natalie.
Me. He wants to call me Sam the Butcher, which represented the meat thing. He says, your son wants you to go to the store, buy some Crest or Colgate. It doesn't make any difference. That told me how good this gentleman was. Then he goes, are you writing a book? And I said, yes. He says, your son wants to know why his name isn't in front of your name on the front cover since he's given you all of this information. And at the time, the only name on the front cover at the publisher as it was being put together was my name, Dennis. I had to call them, stop the presses, and add my son's name there because of this reading I had.
Wow. Okay, Dennis, we're gonna call you back here later tonight in about another half an hour, and we'll bring you on with Natalie. But right now, we're gonna go to Natalie. We're gonna take a short break, and you're listening to World of the Unexplained. Give us a call here, 877-SCARE-U2, or locally 336-996-1596. Where are you guys at tonight?
Every Halloween at midnight, the devil simultaneously appears in 2 places: the high plains of India and a quiet cemetery in Kansas. It's November 2nd, the Day of the Dead. 2 federal marshals report to the small town of Shinbone, Kansas, moments after a tornado warning, to transport a prisoner with no past, no identity. He is known only as Sin Jin Smith. Starring Roddy Piper, Richard Tyson, Jonathan Davis, Kevin Gage, Gary Casper, John Philbin, Billy Duffy, Charles Cypers, and Eileen Dietz. Check out the movie that critics are calling one of 2007's most anticipated horror films by visiting www.sinjinsmith.com. That's www.sin-jinsmyth.com. St. Jin Smith is a Snapkick Productions film, written and directed by Ethan Detmeyer. Coming soon to a theater near you. Remember when paranormal radio used to be open to new age ideas and every possible form of spiritual enlightenment?
It's a religion based on the understanding of consciousness, the understanding of nature, in particular fertility laws.
To my spirit guides are those who have passed over. And, I've always been able to see colors around people, which I've known now to be called auras.
Maybe coming to the close of one kind of psychic life, and I very much believe that this was what the Maya were really trying to talk about.
Well, we're not putting up with that. World of the Unexplained. Conservative paranormal talk. Big on God. Big on guns. With your hosts Jay Scott and Trent Lackey. Heard Mondays live from 8 to 10 Eastern on Planet Paranormal Radio.
And we're back on World of the Unexplained. We can't
problems.
We can't get a hold of Natalie Smith-Blakeslee, I believe is her last name. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You guys know how I feel about psychics anyhow. But mediums, mediums. I don't know what they are. They're all the same.
Well, I mean, I guess a psychic would be somebody who can tell.
Maybe I was hoping she would come on and read me, and tell me, wait a minute, I'm seeing the color blue.
Yeah, and the color blue. And television sets.
And airplanes and
cornfields.
I don't know, guys. You know all about this stuff. It's,
the thing. I mean, you're right, though, Scott. I mean, in a lot of ways, these people who I'm talking to the back of Chuck's head. It's kind of funny, actually. Back of Chuck's head. You know how it's going. No, but I mean, they do sort of apply to generalities, and anybody who's interested or wants something to happen, they'll sit there and go like, "Oh, that does apply to me." You know what I mean? It's very common stuff.
People are looking for it. People are looking for it
in a lot of ways. I mean. And I don't know.
It just really bothers me. I hate that people would take advantage of people that way.
Yeah.
And like I said, they may not knowingly be doing it. They may honestly think they're helping these people, and they're communicating with Beelzebub,
or Asmodear.
Or
I don't think
any of the
that's
lesser
one of them.
demons. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a call. It might be. We'll let our other staff member take care of that.
Professional answering service.
That's right.
Let's see. What are some?
Yeah. So
names?
But I mean, some of these mediums are
Mephistopheles. That's another one.
Who?
Mephistopheles. Okay.
Okay. Is this Natalie? Okay, Natalie. We've got our psychic or medium here.
Here we go.
Natalie, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
I didn't know if you were one of those weird people that screen your calls. You didn't recognize the number.
No, not at all. I was running late. I apologize.
Hey, not a problem. Welcome to World of the Unexplained.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. We are conservative Christian paranormal talk. I don't know if Dennis warned you.
A little bit.
Okay, well, good.
Well, good. Now, what exactly, have you been working with Dennis in this communication between him and his son, Sean?
Actually, Dennis and I met after I lost my daughter. And I think our children brought us together.
Okay, now what exactly do you describe yourself as a medium or a psychic or...
Medium, psychic, medical, intuitive, and pet communicator.
And pet communicator. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, will you take calls? Can you do that?
Certainly.
I mean, you can. If we got a caller to call in and want to request some kind of reading or something like that, you could take that.
Sure.
Okay. Guys, the numbers again: 877-SCARY-U2, 336-996-1596. Oh, wait a minute. We put her on that line. Okay, that's right. My bad. Okay, you can't call in.
No,
we lied. We'll let you take a crack at my co-host Trent, though.
What?
Go ahead.
About what?
What do you need to know to form a good reading?
Okay, yeah. Do you need to know anything about me?
Yeah, your grandfather's passed, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. There's two that have passed. One passed around when you were 1.5 to 2.5 years old, no more than 5. Do you understand?
Yes, that would be true.
Okay, you did not know him that well, but you have, flashback memories. Do you understand what I mean?
I think I have flashback memories. I remember somebody, and nobody else in my family remembers the picture that I conjure up. So. Okay,
because that's what he's talking about. But I also need to bring up about you being pulled out of the water. Did you almost drown?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Okay, because he's talking about that. He said it wasn't your time to go. He said they were making sure on the other side that they, the way that you came up in the water was like somebody had pulled you up out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do remember that, yes.
But nobody was there. The way that you were pulled up out of the water, the way that you felt it from being inside the water. He's telling me that a bigger power or Heavenly Father, whatever you...
It happened a really, really long time ago, and I was a very small child, but I don't exactly remember. I do remember getting out of the water,
Right.
but the actual getting up to the surface, I don't exactly remember, the nature of how that worked, but yeah.
Okay. But this is his way of letting you know that this is him, because this is things that the gentleman that you're sitting with doesn't even know about you.
That's true.
Okay? So there's no way that I could have known that.
You're right.
And this is his way of letting you know that he's around you, he loves you, and that he's okay.
Believe it or not, Scott, of all people, I
Okay.
told him everything.
I know everything about
But
this
I've
guy.
never told Scott about that.
Okay, well, try me.
Wow. Okay.
I'm curious. What do you need to know?
I'm going to sit here quietly now.
I'm curious.
Give me your first name again.
I go by Jay Scott. It's a pseudonym.
Okay, so let's say Jay, right?
Go with that, sure.
Okay. Your grandmother's passed, yes?
Yes.
Grandfather's passed, yes?
One of them, yeah.
Okay. There's a difficulty with one of them. Did you smoke at one time?
Yes.
Okay, because he's talking about how he smoked and there was a problem and an illness in the lung area. I want to talk about coronary pulmonary disease. And there's heart disease, lung issues with a lot of people that have passed, at least 3 people that have passed to the other side connected to you. And they're talking about John who's passed.
I'm sorry?
Uncle John?
No.
There's a John who's passed. They're telling me John or Joe. Remember that I said that, okay?
Okay, I remember, but no, none that I know of.
This is on your father's side of the family.
Okay.
Okay? I also need to bring up Frank or Fred who's passed.
No, neither one of those names either.
Okay? Ask about that in the family.
Okay.
There's a new venture that's coming up. In the process of things we're kind of mulling around now. I want to talk about things that are going on into the future a little bit, and kind of that you started the ball rolling now. Now, this is something that is just like totally different. It's a little bit having to do with radio, but it's kind of like an off-swing from it. That you're going to be doing, and it should come more into light within 7 to 9 months.
Okay.
But the ball and the idea is just starting to roll now. Like, we need to do something different. We need to change something. And this is where I feel as if there's a new wave of ideas coming with you. You're the brainstormer. Do you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See that head swell some more, gentlemen. I feel a lot of this is cold read, though. I mean, don't you come across this a lot? You hear a lot of people say that to you?
No, not really. No, because there's specifics. Like with Tret and talking about his grandfather and him almost drowning. I mean, I never drowned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that is true. That's true. That's odd. There's specific things that I ask family members for, and if you go back in your family 1 to 2 generations, you'll find some of the names that we're talking about. I mean, come on, think of it. Frank, Joe, these are common American names. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, these things are so common. Cancer, heart disease, these are things common in those generations of those people because of the diets that they had and the kinds of work and stress and pressures that were on them from society. I just, I don't know.
But when you talk in another language that you've never talked in, and I'm not talking about talking in tongues, I mean, I've spoken Italian and I'm Polish and Irish.
Okay.
I've talked Jewish and given a Hebrew name, and I was born and raised Catholic.
Well, how do you know that these things that you're communicating with aren't diabolic or Luciferian?
Well, I believe that it is all for the good and the highest and the best. I mean, I had a near-death experience. I went to the other side.
What did you see?
Oh, it's not so much even what I saw, it's what I felt.
What did you experience?
Okay, imagine, and this is the only way that I can best describe it. You've had a really hard day at work, and you come to your home, and you close the door, and you shut the world out. And you go, oh, this is home. Magnify that 1 million times, that feeling that you get coming home and feeling comfortable. It's just that you know that this is where your soul always longed to go and where you were supposed to be. This is where your journey took you, to the other side, to heaven. a light so bright and so intense and filled with so much love. And there wasn't a care in the world.
No, I've never died before that I remember. So I can't speak from personal experience on that. I will give you that.
Trent almost did.
So Trent, did you see any lights or anything?
That was a long time ago.
So you don't remember? I would think an experience like that was so earth-shattering to one's existence.
I'll tell you what I do remember. I remember like floating away, but then of course, when you read about experiences of other people who drown, they get that kind of sensation of just sort of, like slipping quietly into some whatever. When you that point when you give up, I guess.
I don't know. I'm wondering how you obviously you say you have this belief system in place that allows you to believe that you're, and I fully believe that you believe what you're telling me and that you intend to help people. I do fully believe that. I know there's no malice or ill will there.
Right.
It's just, how do you know? I mean, how do you know that what you're talking to is not part of some grand scheme to deceive you and deceive others away from the truth?
When I had my near-death experience, they told me the plan on the other side and that I was supposed to come back to do more. They told me people that I would talk to and about children that I would talk to on the other side and talk to their parents. How can that be so wrong when you're shown that in a near-death experience?
Well, like everything
was laid out.
D, what were you saying, D? Frank? My other producer here, D, he says that he's had an Uncle Frank that passed away, and an Uncle John. He's sitting right beside me.
Ah, okay.
Would that be part of the problem, maybe? I mean, I've talked to some psychics before that have said if you're sitting too close to one another, it kind of muddies the water.
What I want to know is who had the what was the illness in the 40s or the 30s where they put you in an iron lung?
That would be polio, I think.
Yeah.
Did somebody have that?
Not that I know
on
of.
A personal family level.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I knew a girl who lived up the street who had.
Oh, really?
But I mean, that's not.
Wait a minute. I think my grandpa's.
No. This would have been a family member. This is not.
Oh, you mean immediate family? No,
I don't remember anybody who had polio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, you get some, you don't.
Yeah, well, I mean.
But sometimes when you have to go back into the family and into the history of the family to find out some of the information that comes through. Sometimes when I'm doing a large group, other people are writing down different things, that are being said that I'm telling people. And people don't come with, their family history and, going back 1 to 2 generations. And sometimes they're asked to give messages for people that aren't even sitting there.
So when did you notice that you had this gift?
When I was 6 years old, I started seeing people from the other side, but I never got the audio until I died. And they brought me back. And then it was like Bruce Almighty. I swear it was. It was just being bombarded with all this information, and it was very, very overwhelming.
So do you talk to? So you see dead people? I hate to use the expression, but
yeah.
So how did they look?
Very similar to the way that they are here in the living. I mean, like with my father, I like to think of my father as like maybe 48, 58 years old. My father was 65 when I lost him, and they like to come to us also in our dreams the way we like to remember them.
No, I guess the question I've always wanted to ask: have you seen Elvis?
Yeah, of course. Oh no, Elvis is definitely on the other side.
Oh, he is.
Okay. I would really, really be surprised if I found out differently.
All right. Well, we had a guy on here that says he wasn't, but that's a whole other story in and of itself.
Okay.
Elvis is alive and well on that same island with Marilyn Monroe and JFK. No,
and Salman Rushdie visited that island too, and they all watched Magnum P.I.
Princess Di too.
Exactly. It's all a vast conspiracy. You know this, right?
Yeah. Well, he left the island though. He was living there for a while, Chuck.
I want you to try Chuck. I want you to try Chuck.
Okay.
Here. Go ahead, Chuck. Step on up.
All right. How you doing this evening?
Good. How are you, Chuck?
I'm doing all right.
Okay. There's a mother figure that's past connected to you.
A mother figure?
Yeah. Your mom's alive, though, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Your dad's passed?
No.
Okay. He's talking about his heart and his chest. Do you understand?
Not exactly.
Who had lumps and bumps? There's swellings. Lumps and bumps to me are like Hodgkin's, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, or leukemia.
Not that I'm familiar with.
Okay, because he's talking about someone that he's with, or this was his problem. He's talking about a lump or a goiter in the neck area. He doesn't want to let go of this lump thing.
I don't understand.
Okay, remember that I said that to you, okay? And the lower part of the back, you're having problems with your back, the hip area.
Not yet.
I want to talk about the sciatic nerve.
Okay.
That's going to be fun.
Okay? I want to talk about that area as giving you some difficulty. And I feel as if this is going to be something, like, can we watch how much you're lifting? Because I feel as if you're going to move the wrong way. Are you moving or something like that?
Right now?
Boxes, heavy boxes, wood, 2x4s.
No, I haven't been doing anything, I guess, of that sort. Actually, nothing all that physically strenuous.
Okay, because I see you doing this within, this would be in the summertime months, around the June or July. And there's going to be some kind of either remodeling or moving one room into another to do some remodeling.
Okay, that's making a little sense, I suppose.
And 2x4s and 2x6s for studying. And I don't, you're going to work long and hard at doing this and overexhausted. And I don't want you to move the wrong way and put your nerve out or put something out in your back area. I keep seeing you turn from the waist up, but you're not moving your legs to turn.
I gotcha.
Okay, so I just want you to be careful about that.
I have been doing some remodeling, but it's been quite a bit lighter than 2x4s and. Actually, she may be talking about you again, Dee.
I think this has to do with.
I think you like Dee.
For me, it would be building another room onto the house or putting up drywall.
Okay.
But he lives in a trailer. No, I'm kidding. All right. Okay, Dee, come on up here.
Yeah.
You've been talking a lot of things you've said has applied to him, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Okay. There's more with education with you.
Oh, really? Okay.
When you take notes, you number the paper from 1 to, say, 10 or 1 to 5, and you circle the number. Are you a note taker or a list maker?
Somewhat, yes.
I see small printing and small writing with you.
Okay.
Very detailed. I mean, if I'm going to write, I kind of write sloppy and big, unless I have to do something formal. Yours is very neat and small and kind of narrow. And then you number it 1, and it's circled really small.
Okay.
Okay, so you're making lists on different things. I see 1, 2, 3. 3 things on the list, but you have 5 things that you want to get done. And you've got them in the right order except for the last 2. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But I see more with education. I want to go back with the education part. Like there's either something more with TV or radio or broadcasting, journalism. There's something else that has more to do with the public that you're going to be doing.
Okay, all right.
Okay, have you ever done the weather?
No, I haven't.
God hope not.
I don't know. I just see you with the weather.
No, I haven't done any in the weather.
Zanelli, you can call these people up at will. Anybody we want to talk to.
Well, they kind of line up when like if somebody has an appointment or a home gathering that I'm doing like Wednesday evening, they already know who's going to be there.
I mean, could I ask you to contact JFK or something?
Scott,
like that?
we only have a.
No, I know. I'm gonna let it. I'm running through the software.
Certain people that are predominant like that, like JFK. I know I got advance warning a week ahead of time. All I got was John, and the only John that I could think of was John Jr.
Okay.
So I don't know. I've never really thought of it as calling them up on command, but I always think of it as they're calling me up. I'm not calling them up. I didn't start this; they did.
I hear you. I just, I still have a hard time believing stuff. I mean, it's stuff like this. Like it would be like me asking you questions. I would say, you have a mother and father, or you have grandfather, grandmother, and I sense that both of those are dead. And you say, yeah, or I sense that one of them is dead. You say, yeah, and I say, well, do you have, I'm getting, the name Joe, or I mean, it seems like there's a lot of cold reading there. And
but when you can give detailed, for me, it's like sitting in my room, opening up the drapes and opening up a window and seeing to the other side, or seeing into somebody else's house where I can tell them where things are sitting in their homes, or that their pets' ashes are in an urn sitting on the mantle and what's next to them. Is that a cold reading? No.
You're right. That's not. Now, you have a show called Messages from the Light on Fox 66. Now, where is this at?
It's actually it's in Pennsylvania, and it's shown in a couple of different areas in Pennsylvania, New York, and Ohio.
Okay. Now,
and it's got two. I think it's like 386 homes.
That's awesome.
386,000 homes.
Wow. Okay, we've got Dennis with us on the other line. We're gonna go ahead and bring him back.
Okay.
Is that okay? How's it going, Dennis?
Oh, I'm back. Pretty good. Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Hi, Dennis. How are you? I'm good.
Now, these guys don't know what a reading they're getting from you, what a lot of people would give their their right arm for. And they're sitting there going,
Did you tell them what happened during your reading? Yours and Wanda's with your son?
Oh, no, I didn't get into that. On some of the stuff that they had, I mean, she was right on with the pennies and all sorts of different things that she came up with ours. I wanted to ask Trent, though, why would your grandfather be coming through so strong with Natalie, bringing up everything? Were you real close with him or something?
Well, no, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't really know him that well. I mean, like I said, he passed away when I was a little over a year or so old. So I kind of, like I said, I kind of remember vague images of him, I think, only in the fact that my parents don't remember the same images. So I don't really know what to make of that. I assume it's him, because I can't imagine.
Why would he bring up the drowning and all that stuff? Was he around during that time?
No, he had already passed on.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, so, but it was very interesting.
He was the one that was saying that it wasn't his time yet, because that's what we had originally said when we did the reading. It was like somebody that wasn't there that was pulling him out of the water.
Possibly. I mean, I can't really, like I said, I was a really young kid when that happened, and with the trauma and everything, I don't really remember all the details.
Yeah, but that's something Natalie wouldn't have known or anything like that, and you guys wanted some specifics, and I think that's kind of specific, as long as you're of open mind and you're not just going to challenge everything that comes to you, which is fine on your belief system, which you advertised at the beginning of the show. But when someone does give you specifics, we're hoping, we're not trying to convert anybody, or Natalie's not trying to convert anybody, but we're trying to open a door in people's mind just a little bit, just to think a little bit.
I don't know.
What if?
Well, do you play with Ouija boards?
No.
Okay, no, I mean, no. What I'm saying is, it's the guest last week the same way. But what I'm saying is, when you mess with stuff like this with the spirit world, you don't know what you're opening up to, do you?
Well, I think when people start out doing this, I think that you can go down one path or the other. And I think because of my beliefs, my religious upbringing, and being born and raised Catholic, or having a strong religious belief in my family.
Well, I mean, if you're born and raised Catholic, you're kind of straying away from that, because you're kind of going against what the Old Testament says us about not trying to contact the dead, aren't we?
The Witch of Endor, for example.
Oh, I do. I know what the Catholic religion says when it comes to that. But as I said before, I don't call them up. They call me up. They're the ones that it was almost like I couldn't turn around and walk away from this. The things that I was telling people from the people on the other side was accurate and correct, and it was blowing me away.
Now, when did you have this near-death experience?
When I was 29.
Okay, and were you a practicing Roman Catholic at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I still believe in the Roman Catholic faith, and I am more spiritual than I am religious.
Okay, what does that mean?
I believe my faith in God is stronger and based on a more stronger belief and a more spiritual belief because I've gone to the other side.
So you believe God is behind what you do then? Do you think this is a gift from God?
You bet.
Okay, well, isn't that a little contrary? If his word says not to do the things that you're doing, then I'm kind of at a loss for words on that.
Because that's in your belief system, your frame of reference. You're going to her frame of reference.
Well, it's not just in my belief system. I mean, this is a book that all the Christians and all the Jews believe to be the Word of God. And I mean, if you claim that you're following a Christian route, then shouldn't you believe the Christian, the book of God, the Word of God?
But how many times has the Bible been translated? That would be my question.
Well, you can only
that argument again.
You can only translate something so many times. You're getting the same meaning out of it.
Yeah, but it was originally in Aramaic.
Aramaic, yes,
and Hebrew,
right.
and Hebrew, and Greek.
Well, the
Right.
Greek, yeah, that's true. It was
Septuagint.
Right.
So then you're talking 3 different translations that way.
Yeah.
And then you're talking from Greek. And I remember when I would go to church and they would have the Mass in Greek, and then it went into English.
Oh, you're talking about the Vatican.
Latin.
You're talking about from Latin to English, the
Latin.
Vatican II. Yeah, in the 68, wasn't it?
I remember when some of the words were in Latin.
Yes.
I would think that somehow, though, the Word of God transcends simple communication.
It does. I mean,
vocal cords and printed text. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it does.
I don't know.
I mean, this is the most translated book in the world. Did you know that? The most translated book in the world.
Are you sure it beats Harry Potter?
Yes, I'm sure it beats Harry Potter, Chuck.
Oh yeah.
Chuck's the agnostic one of the group. He's the heretic. We know where he's going. But it brings a lot of things to my mind. Is like I was mentioning to Dennis. Dennis, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Like I was telling him earlier, I said, I mean, a lot of people that do what you do, I mean, I'm sure most of them are probably out for, they think they're helping people, this, that, and the other. But a lot of people are out there that are charlatans, that are out there doing cold reads, that are taking these people's hard-earned money and just grief counseling. That's all that's all they're doing, and they're prolonging the agony of it because they're saying, hey, not only can I help you get over your grief, but also I'm going to provide a way that you can communicate with your son forever. I mean, you see.
Yeah, but then that's taking somebody's money, and that is not right.
No, I do. Yeah, I like I said, I think most people are doing it for a good intention.
Yeah.
But it's just it's something, like I said, that the Word of God doesn't support. And
when you watch the sigh of relief that comes over a bereaved mom's or dad's face, or hear that, or just even feel that over the phone.
Uh-huh.
And when I connect with bereaved moms and dads who have lost their children, because I am one myself, there's no more heart-wrenching pain than to lose your own child.
How much do you charge for your readings?
For a bereaved mom or dad, it's $47
per hour. Per what?
For a half hour.
For $47 a half hour. Chuck, we need to get into this business. It pays more than radio, let me assure you. How much do you charge for other things other than bereaved parents?
For a home gathering, it's $40.
Well, what do you mean home gathering?
Well, that's when people get some of their family together, like maybe 10, 20 people, and they get some of their family together, and people that are in the group get readings.
Okay. And that's $40 just for that one session, I guess, or?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Oh. All right, Dennis, I want to get back to you a little bit here. I don't want to monopolize your time just sitting there on hold.
I love listening to Natalie. I just found out that the 29, that connected us because our special number in my story is 29, and I just found out through Natalie's story that we're connected in that way now, too.
How so?
Well, the 29 was my special number in my story, and like Natalie said, I came about meeting Natalie later on.
Right.
When I was once the book had already been written, and I've been going on in my spiritual journey with my son and, basically to help other people move forward in their grief process. That's how I came across Natalie, and we both believe our children brought us together. And when she had her near-death experience, she said she was 29 years old. Well, that just tells me, boom, that's another validation for me, for my son and her daughter, Carrie, that brings us together, the 29, because that was a special number my son and I had. I talked about it in the book on the television set when that showed up.
And the roulette wheel.
So all I was saying was I didn't know that about Natalie, and I just heard that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And to me, that was a validation just hearing it out of, her story.
No, what do you think? What do you make of Dennis's number system, Natalie?
Oh, I've paid more attention to it now. Ever since I've met Dennis and his son Sean on the other side, I've paid more attention to it.
Oh, the occult does use a lot of numerology a lot of times.
Well, numerology can also be a very good thing. I mean, like numbers like the 11th. I was born on the 11th. And those are double ones, and I always consider that to be good luck. I think some things could be related with the cult, but I think also some things can be very, very good. I think it's just in the way that you look at things.
Now, are you guys doing a tour together? This tour that you were talking about earlier, Dennis? Is that
right? I've gotten 4 psychic mediums together, which is Derek White, Sky Cloud, Natalie, Don and Dudley Vole, and
somebody else.
Her name just slipped me. Marie.
Kelly Marie.
Yeah, Kelly Marie. Sorry, Kelly.
Sorry, Kelly.
It just went there. And I have 2 bereaved family members that I talk about in the book, the Abercrombies, who lost a son, Brian Paul.
Yes, I'm familiar with
Terry Bergman, who lost her daughter, Ashley, who I've had contact with. And I've drawn these people together with an idea that came to me in October of last year, trying to get these people heard on the radio or, trying to make a TV show out of it. I just thought of the idea, why don't we travel together? Because all of these people are gifted in their own right and have their own stories and their own way of trying to help people move forward in the grief process. And one thing it is, you don't move them out of the grief, where you forget the grief. You're always going to remember the feeling. When I'm doing an interview, a certain question can take me right back to the day that I received a phone call from his mother. And I was on an interview one time, and they asked a certain question, and they had to take a break for a little bit for me to get it back together, because I just went right back to that day and that feeling, and I couldn't talk anymore for a couple minutes. So you learn to live with it. It doesn't go away. It never goes away.
I agree.
Now, when is this conference taking place?
Well, we're hoping the first one in Seattle will be October 27th. We're trying to do a city a month across the United States and Canada. Since Derek White Sky Cloud, he lives up in British Columbia, and he's the Canadian-born member of our team. That's why we want to call it the North American Tour 2007. And it's only a one-day tour, each month in a certain city. We're probably going, hopefully, to Cleveland, Erie area after Seattle, if that works out, Atlanta, Asheville, North Carolina, down by you guys.
Oh, Asheville, my friend Joshua P. Warren.
Vancouver, Columbia. And it's, we're trying to shy away from readings, like you had Natalie come on and give you guys readings.
Yeah.
Right.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's not about the readings. Grief, even from my aspect, with my own family and losing my daughter, Carrie, it's just like I'll bring up Carrie's name, and it's been 16 months since I lost my daughter, and I bring up her name, and my family wants to change the subject. They don't know what to say to me.
I do extend our condolences for both of your losses, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you. But if we can just put grief out on the shelf, and have it be acknowledged, and to be able to have people talk about it instead of having to be something that you shut and close into a door, because that's the way a lot of people treat it. I think we could help move through the grief faster if we could bring it out.
Okay, guys, can I get your websites from both of you real quick here?
loveandlight.com.
Okay, and yours, Dennis?
My search for the Afterlife.com, just like the book.
And now, do you guys have a conference website as well?
No, but on my website, and I think Natalie is taking a page off my website, I've got a little tab up there that says the North American Tour 2007. You hit that, and it's going to mention, how the tour happened, how I set it up, and it's going to give you a picture and a little bio about everybody that's part of that tour. And as more information becomes available about where in Seattle and the time and the place and yada, 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 that's all going to be posted on the sites.
Okay, now it just slipped my mind what I was going to say. Gosh, that doesn't happen much. I talk way too much. Oh, man. Okay, we were talking about the tour, where it's going to be. You said you're trying to get out to Asheville. You're trying to get into the Erie area as well, possibly Atlanta. How much is this conference going to cost somebody if they want to attend?
We're looking at $85 per person right now, and that's for 9 hours, basically 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night right now is what we're looking at.
So you're not giving any readings? That's not going to be like...
Well, no, I didn't say that. I said we're not concentrating on these mediums standing up and just giving readings during their, say, 1 hour on stage, each person, so to speak. They are all gifted, that I feel from God. They've got a given gift, and they're healers, basically in their own right on the God-given gift they've been given. And this is what they're going to talk about and to help people. Yes, towards the end, we are going to concentrate maybe the last 45 minutes or something like that. We haven't decided how we're going to do that, but give readings to the audience. But we don't want the public to come to this seminar like they would if John Edwards was traveling into town. You buy a ticket. You're going to hear John's history for the first half hour. Boom, now he's into readings for 2 hours. We want to get the public's thought wave back. No, this is a grief seminar. How we're going to help you with the grief of losing a child, a close family member, or friend. That's what we want to concentrate on.
So, and the way you're going to do this is by bringing a connection with them and their deceased loved one.
Each one has their own unique gift. Natalie can tell you what she's going to do. All I'm going to do is, talk about my story and basic things that happen, so forth.
I think the unique part is that I think between the bereaved moms and dads that are in the group, we've lost our children in different ways. Like I lost Carrie to an illness, and Dennis lost his son to an accident. I'm not sure about the other two.
Yeah, Brian Paul, one of the families, he was in the military. He died in a helicopter accident. And his mom and dad also believe in the numbers, stuff like that. When I talked about Brian Paul in my book, their special number between their son, that I didn't realize at the time, was number 11. Well, his story falls on pages 113 and 114. And if you add together the numbers 113 and 114, that totals 11. And I didn't know about that until I sent him a copy of the book. And then she wrote me back in an email.
Huh.
And you ask yourself, why was it on that page? I don't know. Same thing happened to me.
19 and 20, yeah. Suzanne.
Yeah.
Right, and that happened with Suzanne Northup, and I asked her the same question. Why was my story, my references, put on those pages, which add up to 39, which is one of our special numbers, Sean's name, or 3 and 93 for the year and the month. And I asked her why, and she just looked at me with a blank look on her face. In other words, you didn't do it intentionally. Spirit was with you while you're writing the story, and they have a unique way of getting their message to you, where you wouldn't even try to understand how they do it.
Well, I've still got my own issues with it. Like I said, once again, it just seems like I said, first of all, it's one of those things that you're not supposed to do. Secondly, it's one of those things that out of the 4 readings that we got here from Natalie, and Natalie, I'm not trying to pick a fight with you, although I'm pretty good at it sometimes from what I hear. From the 4 readings we got here, it seems like you hit on one thing, but you missed the other 3. 25% just doesn't seem like a good average. I mean, you know what I mean?
But on some of the stuff, like she says, remember it. And there's stuff, like I told you, when I had my reading on the phone and she brought up the fishing.
Uh-huh.
And I told you, well, I knew that was a miss because I don't fish. I get sick. I fished one time in my life, and I used wieners, and I got tired of it, ate the wieners, and went home, and I was a little kid. Okay, but later on, I found out, wait a second, his mom's side of the family were fishermen. I found out months later. So sometimes you don't find the answers to your reading until later, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, wait a second. Now you guys are going to remember back on this. Like I said, you're lucky having Natalie read for you. Now, something's going to come up, and you're going to, now whether you're going to admit it or not, on the program later on when this happens, and tell your audience, well, you know, Joe and whatever the name was, Frank or whatever name she came up with, that has a meaning in your life, all of a sudden a family member is going to say something to you about that, and you go, oh, man, I completely forgot about that.
If that is the case, I will tell my listeners if that is the case. However,
okay, very good.
You know, I've got a book coming out here soon too, and a lot of it deals with what's going on out there today in the paranormal world. And what it's doing is it's paralleling, because it's fulfilling this age that we live in now as the fulfillment of the prophecies that were given thousands of years ago, and I can prove it. But anyway, I'll pray for you and send you a copy, Dennis. Same to you, Natalie.
Okay.
I will do it. Prayers I can get, especially after December of last year.
I understand that, and you need to watch out on there too, Dennis.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know they say, I think it's 1 in 4 chance of having trouble again once you've had heart problems like that.
Well, I just had a call from the heart people. I got to go back for another test because they told me, quote, that they saw a shadow over my aorta. I just had a ultrasound done the other day, and they want me in for a CAT scan of the heart because they want to see what the shadow is all about, and something else they talked about. So I just got that news today.
Yeah, you definitely need to check that out.
I'm sure that Wanda will make sure that she's got your back and pushing you into the doctor's office.
Oh, yeah, she does. And I'm out there exercising every day, and now I can speak out about heart disease and diabetes and let people know before you want to do something for other people, you do have to take care of your own health and not abuse it like I was doing with my diabetes, that it will catch up to you.
I hear that.
Yeah, very true.
Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and give y'all the last word. Y'all can go one at a time. Whoever wants to go first, jump in.
Go ahead, Natalie.
I was going to tell you, go ahead, Dennis.
All I have to say is just keep an open mind. And, you know, when you read my story, it's just to open up your mind to let you know that your loved ones are around you on a daily basis. They see what's going on in your life, and they can hear you. If you want to go to my website, you look up cemetery on the Internet. I do have what I call the Garden of Flowers. You send me the name of your relative. You don't have to buy a book, makes no difference. I have my webmaster put it on the site, and in the comfort of your own home, away from skeptics, maybe like your host of the radio show. You don't have to listen to them. You can look at the name of your loved one.
Don't get me started, Dennis.
Music, playing Wind Beneath My Wings, and say those last words you may not have had a chance to say to your dad. Say you got there to the hospital 5 minutes too late, and you didn't say what was in your heart and in your mind. This is a place that you can do it.
Well, I thank you so much for being with us, Dennis. Natalie?
Thank you, guys.
I just wanted to say that, you know, you can be aware of your family and friends that you've lost every single day if we just look for the signs. You know, signs that they give us to let us know that they're okay on the other side. And my website is loveandlight.com, and the TV show website is messagesfromthelighttv.com.
All right.
And I thank you for having me on.
Well, thanks a lot. I hope I wasn't too brutal on you guys.
No.
No, you guys are very gentle. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Okay, take care. Goodbye, Natalie.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay. Chuck?
The devil is the Lord of Lies.
I see I've red hair. I'm sensing there's some Irish blood in you. Do you have Irish relatives far back in your history?
Do you understand?
Do you understand?
Okay, now,
all right,
Chuck,
all right.
that was
wrong.
That was
Chuck,
a little uncalled for.
Okay, come on, guys. 25%. 25%. 1 out of 4. And you know the drowning thing. Come on. I don't know. Maybe
a lot of kids do have that.
Maybe
experience.
someone in your family's a demon. Maybe they're. I'm kidding.
I don't want to talk about that.
I'm just
Scott.
messing with you.
Not
man.
someone in my family, Scott.
Someone that knows your. You know
No,
what I'm saying. Somebody that's around your family.
Well,
they've seen this. See, this is the way.
No. You know what I'm talking about too. Not family related. Yeah.
You'll tell me after the show.
Okay.
All right. Well, look. You know the thing is, it's like this. We know as Christians, we know that they're demons. The demon, not you, Chuck. I'm not talking about the heretic over here, but we know that there are demons all around. I mean, the spirit world is all around, and the reason that they know these things is because they see them happen. Of course, they can tell you about the conversation you had with your grandpa at 3 years old because they were there.
And another time, I mean, there's other situations with when you have people who speak to the other side, you know, who claim to be able to speak to the other side. You know, their viewpoints are. How do we say, very positive? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, the afterlife is a peace, a returning.
Yeah, there's no negative. You're not burning in hell.
Yeah, you take out the whole punishment and the suffering of whatever, you know, and it it doesn't fit well in my dualistic.
And we know that
theology.
life's not like that. So what makes you think the next one's going to be?
Well, that's true.
What makes you think that there's not a choice that you have to make? And here's
well,
the whole.
I mean, yeah, there's
here's
evil
the
in this
whole thing.
world,
Yeah.
and certainly there will be evil on the other side. You know.
Well, here's the whole thing. How hard is it? Let's say that I'm wrong. Okay, let's just postulate that I'm wrong, and the whole Jesus thing's just a ton of crap, and none of this is true. Now, if we postulate that I'm wrong on that, and say that I die and I find out, oh man, Natalie Smith-Blakeslee, I think that's her name, is right, and it's all peaceful. Well, what have I lost by following the tenets of Christianity and living by those tenets and trying to do good to my neighbor?
It's just like
not breaking any of the 10, and none of us want to break the 10. You don't want to kill nobody, do you?
Well, 3 of them are. I mean, when you analyze the 10 Commandments, it really only comes down to 3 different things you need to follow. A lot of them are repeats.
A lot of them are repeats.
A lot of them are repeats.
Mr. Bible scholar.
Okay, Mr.
Chuck's wrong, but we'll talk about this off air.
No, but Scott, it's true. I mean, it kind of likens a little bit to predestination. It's like, if it's going to go here anyway, then why do I need to follow these tenets? I'm going to go rob a bank and run an opium den.
Yeah, and I'm going to own a brothel and do all kinds
of... Wear a funny hat and shoot people whenever I feel like it. And I'm
exactly.
still going to go to a nice, peaceful place.
And when they electrocute me on the electric chair, I'm still going to the nice place.
Are we saying that we're gonna go to the same world where Adolf Hitler and Joe Stalin and Jeffrey Dahmer are gonna show up?
877 scare you too.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just seems like, well, why the hell are you people doing here? You guys were monsters, and yet you're in the same peaceful, happy place. I just don't buy it.
I don't buy it either. And the thing is, though, even if you do, let's just say that you accept Christ as your personal Savior and you follow the tenets of Christianity. A, that makes you a better person. B, you're doing the good things if you're following it the way, and unfortunately many Christians don't. They just see it as their free out of jail card, get out of jail free card, excuse me. But if you do follow these tenets and you do these things that are that are good, you're benefiting society by being kind and by doing these things. And on top of that, you're securing your future, your eternal future. So why not? I think it was Pascal that said, wasn't it Pascal that said, I don't remember the quote exactly, but better take the chance and be right than not take it and be wrong, kind of thing.
I thought it was Kierkegaard.
Oh, maybe it was. I don't know.
It might have been Pascal, though.
I think it was Pascal.
Yeah.
But regardless, that's what I'm saying. All it requires is one choice, and I guarantee if you hadn't made that choice tonight, if you do, it's gonna change your life. Bill Weiss, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but he says he spent 23 minutes in hell. And he's coming on our show later on. You guys got to check that out. That right there is it's some powerful stuff.
Yeah, since we're already talking on the subject, it'll be very cool.
OutofDarknessTour.com. Sign up. ParanormalCruise.com. Sign up.
Going to the Bermuda Triangle.
That's right. We're going to be going to the Bermuda Triangle with Chuck.
Nice seeing us. So
yeah, in the Bahamas with Chuck. He's going to be wearing them crazy Hawaiian shirts with Trent.
Yeah, I do have.
And I'm going to be wearing a white wife beater. Yeah. Oh man, Dee's going to be wearing Hawaiian shirts too. We want you to come on the cruise with us, guys. It's only $5.99. That's right, $5.99. ParanormalCruise.com. Get on board. Get on board. Out of Darkness Tour is only $75 for the VIP, which includes dinner. It's only $50 for the standard tickets all-day event.
We got Bill Sneblin, the ex-vampire. We got John Zappas, ghost hunter, paranormal investigator extraordinaire.
We got me talking about my new book and the Road to Crew. Laura Placeris from Full Moon Radio. Terry Bain, author of Actual Factual Dracula.
Al Prophet, the one and only
Dr. Al. So
here in Greensboro, North Carolina.
That's right. It's in Greensboro, North Carolina. OutofDarknessTour.com. We've sold a few tickets. We need to sell some more. And we got to wrap this up. But I'm Jay Scott. You're only JD DJ on God knows how many networks.
And I'm Trent Lackey. We're coming to you from Kernersville, North Carolina. A small town where we talk about big things.
Chuck!
We out!
Oh, wait a minute. We got 25 seconds left here, man.
That was
we can't
a lie then.
No, we can't just keep on. We cut it off, man. We signed it off.
We can't drop out before the time starts.
Well, all right. So we're just going to sit here.
That's true. We are on 2 minute delay.
Good point, D.
All right, anyway. Chuck, I'll get you on the 5-second mark. Go ahead. Hit it.
You sure this time?
Yeah, do it.
We out!